What is the difference between a head writer, a showrunner, and a writer?
Okay, so showrunner is the boss,
Yeah.
the boss. And they're
So
kind of...
Portia's the boss. Portia
Yeah,
Kumete is the boss.
yeah. She's the boss. So the showrunner is kind of something in between an executive producer and a head writer. They're very in charge of story, very in charge of the creative, and they're responsible of carrying out that creative within the show.
Okay.
Right. And so they'll have a hand in everything.
Yeah.
So they literally need to be the show and become the show. Everything kind of
Gotcha.
goes through them. The head writer is in charge of the story room and in charge of the story. And underneath the head writer, there's a staff of script editors, story editors, writers, storyliners. So you're kind of the story engine.
Sure.
And you need to make sure that you are handling every single facet of the story and you are on top of the story.
Sure.
From beginning to end. A storyliner comes up with the story.
Yeah.
Kind of sit with 2, 3, 4 storyliners. You break the story and you decide how it's going to happen. And then the writers execute whatever you've done from the treatment. And they write the dialogue and do that.
Dope.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're now a head at Seriti.
Yeah, I'm the head writer for long form. Thank you.
So you moved to Seriti. We know of some of your interviews that, representation and all these things, stories being told by, our white counterparts, but they're our stories. Is this what you move with? Is this your mission to then say, well, we're telling our stories and I'm that story as well, or I fall a part of that group of people that I'm telling their stories? I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. I'm kind of rambling, but essentially, I've heard you say quite a lot that our stories need to be told by our people. Is this part of your rhetoric moving towards a Seriti?
I mean, definitely. I was so shocked at how many white writers there are in this country because all of the shows were black, right? They were about black people and they were all in vernac. And I was just like, how, what? Like, I was absolutely mind blown. And then I kind of started to really analyze this and kind of look at myself inside this picture. And I was just like, how am I one of like 2 females?
Crazy.
In a story room? And then when I look at like older females, like it's Portia, Sismusi, there's a handful of black female writers that are senior, and I'm just
compared to what you're seeing on TV.
Compared to what I'm seeing on TV, these numbers don't add up. So I don't know what happens or what has happened, but I was just like, this doesn't make sense to me. And so for me, in my writing room, I'm like, I am working with black women, and that is where you'll catch me. Like that is only where you'll catch me. And I worked on a show and they were like, your room is a little too black female. Like, we get it, more power to you, but like, you need a man in this room, you need a man's voice. I'm like, how ironic. Men have been telling women's stories for centuries, In fact, the way I understood women on TV is only through men's eyes because that's who was telling the stories. And so to be told that the room is too female and too black, for me was like mind-boggling, right?
Is it easy to fight back within that kind of questioning? Can you justify why you have just a female, black female room? Can you justify why that? Because I think...
It becomes easier the better you are at your job. So the better you get and the more senior you get. But at the end of the day, I'm a writer, right? I'm not on budgets and production. You need producers who see the same vision that you do.
Sure.
So if you've got producers who are yes men, then you're going to find yourself with the hit show being head written by a white male, and no female stories.
Is that now changing? If you look back at the years that you've done in this industry, are you seeing transformation? Are you seeing representation within these rooms?
Sorry, I'm tearing up.
No worries, it's okay.
Yeah, so it's happening. It's happening slowly.
Okay.
It's happening a little too slow for my liking.
I feel like you're the change. People like you and Portia are the change. You guys are... Because what you find is that we suffer from the fact that we don't represent our stories. We don't go out to say... Because we're in the background, we're in the behind the scenes. We don't say, I did that. It's hard to find many shundas. It's hard to find... So I think we need to also look at ourselves and say, actually, did I announce it? Did I say that I'm doing this? Inspiring people who are still in high school wanting to do the same thing. I think that we aren't as vocal as we should be about the things that we do. We aren't as vocal about the things that we do and the achievements that we actually get. So I think people like you that shine through are amazing.
Yeah.
But I think as well, what is then sort of expected from you guys is to sort of lead the next generation. Is that something that's, that you're thinking of? Or is it just, hey, I'm not a role model, I'm just doing this thing?
No, I mean, I'm not a role model, but it's definitely front of mind.
Yeah.
So in the same way that I'll have senior storyliners and writers that are black females, the interns that I hire are also black females. Because let's be honest, if you have a white guy who is slick with it, has a private school education, has a MacBook, his own transport, well, that's the guy to be the intern.
Yeah.
That's the most efficient intern you're gonna get.
Yeah.
But the black female might not have all of that stuff, but she's got the lived experience. She is going to rise further and harder. And I need to take a chance on her, just like somebody took a chance on me. And so for me, I'm constantly thinking about that. And so I'm constantly being deliberate in all of the decisions I make. So you asked me if it was like a quick rise. It wasn't a quick rise. And it looks like there's a lot of luck, but I found that the more deliberate I am, the luckier I become.
Amazing.
Right? So
Same thing for me.
right?
Yeah.
Like as soon as I start making
share that.
decisions and positioning myself and having a focus and kind of deciding what I want to do, then all of a sudden all the luck opens up.
Got you. Where are we going with storytelling, and where are you, and where's your personal dream within this industry?
Our industry is growing, but it is small. So
Yeah.
there's very few broadcasters, right?
Yeah.
So you end up having to do mass appeal shows.
Yeah.
And I don't know if necessarily the kind of stories I want to tell are necessarily mass appeal, but, and also what is mass appeal,
Yeah.
right? South Africa is constantly changing. I couldn't have foreseen what is happening right now, like a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So I think we found a model and we're sticking to it because it's safe and it's making money.
Yeah.
And it's going to be up to us to change that
Yeah.
and kind of take it a bit more forward and be a bit more risque.
How? Because you've got the broadcaster, and yes, there's these online platforms that are coming up, like Netflix, Amazon is coming up. So, they're all here. But essentially, are we saying that that's working for these broadcasters, so we'll give them that? Or are we changing the broadcaster? Are we able to contribute and say, hey, broadcasters, this is where it's going? Or do we say, cool, we'll give you that, because that's what you want, that's what's been working for you, and then we entertain like a Netflix or an Amazon to say, well, these guys are more open to, more eclectic, more weird and niche storylines or niche experiences. I don't know what, but or is it a one change across the board? Because I'm not sure if you can leave them and do that, or do them at the same. It's just all confusing.
We're figuring it out as we go, right?
Yeah.
Like we're completely winging this thing. The surgence of digital platforms
Yeah.
is so new to us, but I think that we're also trying to eat. So it's a difficult thing.
Yeah.
Is that you must also eat. So if there is a broadcaster and you know this is what they like and this is what you do for them, then do that.
Yeah.
But also you have these great ideas and you have these great ideas and they're sitting inside you and they're films and they're drama series. And if you have a broadcaster then or a digital platform that is willing to be a bit more risque, then pitch it there and save it for that. I think there is a way to do both.
When writers in America put down their tools, the industry stops.
Yeah.
Are we there?
No.
Or could we ever be there?
We could definitely be there, but it's definitely not where we are. People think...
People came with your flies here. I'm joking.
What a joke.
What a
my
joke,
darling.
my darling.
Writers are underpaid and they're overworked.
Sure.
That's just across the board and that's just a fact. In the 10 years or 20 years since, the landscape has changed for every other industry,
Yeah.
writing has not. And the money hasn't increased, but the work has increased. So it's like this disconnect And I mean, I'm speaking to writers who are just like, these rates are the same rates that we were getting, you know, in '97. Like, it doesn't make sense.
It's like Molo fish days, yo.
Do you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
right? There's no royalties. So for me, it's kind of like it's a situation where we got to do what we have to do at the end of the day. And if all the writers were to down tools, that would be absolutely amazing. But we need the producers to be on our side too. The reason why that works in America is because I believe that only Sunni Faba can tell me this story. So you need to trust me, and I need to trust that you're going to have my back.
Sure.
And that's why the relationship between writers and producers needs to become so much more important.
When I look at you, I can only hope that you're strong enough to rise as you have, to carry on as you have. It's brilliant to see. I can't wait to see what you and Seriti will do in the next couple of years.
Yeah, me too.
But what you alone as well can
Yeah.
do, you know? So to all the writers, to all the people who want to be writers, let's come together. Let's figure out a way of protecting writers. Let's figure out a way of getting, you know, money.
Yeah.
You know, I think
Yeah.
I'm very surprised that you guys are not getting your money. Your producers are getting their money. You know, they are.
Yeah.
Get
yeah.
it right. Actors are getting their money these days. So I'm hoping it's profitable.
It's this weird, bizarre thing.
Yeah.
Is that none of that work can happen without the writers.
So how?
And yet the writers are not being treated the way they need to be.
Oh, Patsu and Gwijian are winning. I'm joking. Anyway, let's cut that. I'll keep that in there because that's the truth. But essentially, I hope that everyone else.
Yeah, but they've been such an inspiration to watch.
They are.
Right?
They really are.
Is that I was just like, this is amazing. This is two writers, and now they're producing and they're doing what they want to do and telling the stories they want to
It's
tell.
possible because of them.
100%.
It's possible because of you. I'm sure it's profitable wherever, you know. Anyway, so thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me. This is amazing.
For coming through. This was really dope. You're a really dope person. I really look up to you.
I look up to you. Congratulations to you.
Thank you. We're all really just like our bunch of congratulations.
You're right. Every
It's a
time I
beautiful
see you,
time.
congratulations.
Yeah. So thank you very much for coming.